Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Driving Talks. Anthony. Today we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development in addition to well-being. However, in today's conversation, we're going to be talking about the short-term memory loss, coping with cognitive changes, and finding support, right? So I want to be able to take in consideration that occasional forgetfulness is common, but persistent memory challenges can affect confidence, independence, and emotional well-being, right? So off rip with some research, short-term memory difficulties can arise from stress, aging, medical conditions, or mental health challenges and may impact daily functioning, according to National Institute of Mental Health. In addition to that as well, understanding memory challenges and changes in early stages can help individuals seek support and adopt effective coping strategies from the APA. So I really want to take in consideration that finding the support, understanding what's going on, right? Having that compassion, being kind to ourselves, and help us navigate rather than ruminating, kind of just self-sabotaging on a negative stance, right? So let's, stick with me, grow with me. We're gonna be able to navigate throughout this video, right? So off rip for our first segment, we're gonna be talking about common causes of short-term memory loss, right? So first key concept is that stress and anxiety, right? So high stress levels interfere with attention and memory formation, right? So how are we able to remember things or gain our attention or focus to something? However, we have high anxiety, so the anxiety is focusing on trying to reduce and kind of get ourselves back to that normal state rather than our attention towards memory, trying to format what was the previous interaction or situation that we're trying to derive from, right? So we got to take that in consideration. Next is going to be that depression, right? So memory and concentration difficulties are common symptoms of depression, right? So this is affecting our short-term memory loss in that sense. Addition to this as well is sleep problems, right? So poor sleep quality negatively affects our cognitive performance and recall, right? So when we're not getting the proper rest, right, we're burned out, we're not properly resting and giving ourselves the adequate amount of sleep, how can we restore? How can the body heal? How can our brain really perform at its, best optimum potential? Next is going to be aging, right? So normal age-related changes can impact processing speed and short-term memory, right? So you got to take into consideration too, like as we're babies, we're trying to develop, right? But as we age, right, things change, and this definitely could impact our memory and our, functioning speed in that sense. Well, we got to be able to accept that, right? It's part of life. So let's be kind to ourselves for those out there that are aging. All of us damn near, but you know what I mean. However, we also have medical and neurological conditions as well. So we're going to be able to take into consideration that head injuries, also people out there that got injured to play sports, medical side effects, some, vitamin deficiencies, the neurological disorders may contribute to our memory loss as well, according to the CDC. So, we've got to take into consideration for, the mind, the brain, certain conditions, some things that had happened, right? Medical situations, injuries, as mentioned, right? So there's different things that impact our short-term memory loss and in the brain. Next segment, let's dive right into emotional impact, right, of the memory changes, right? So off rip, we have the frustration and anxiety, right? So forgetfulness may, increase that worry, embarrassment, or that self-doubt, right? So when we're just kind of ruminating, like I said, with a negative stance, we're letting that take over us, and that's not allowing us to feel conducive as if that we're able to manage whatever the circumstances are. So that's the emotional aspect of it as well. We also have the loss of confidence, right? So repeated memory lapses can affect self-esteem and independence, right? So when these things continuously keep happening to us, it takes a hit on our self-esteem, it takes a hit on our emotional stance and our mood, right? And it definitely does impact us, you know what I mean? We also have social withdrawal, right? So individuals may avoid conversations or activities due to the fear of forgetting, according to the CDC as well. So, social withdrawal. So people out there that are undergoing memory challenges and these changes as well, it impacts, the way that they want to be able to, mobily get around or interact with individuals as well. So that is applied into this. We have mood changes. So ongoing cognitive difficulties can contribute to that irritability or depressive symptoms as well. So, right. So our mood, this is affecting how we feel, right? Significantly, right? And this pulling us into that depressive or that anxious state as mind as well. So I want us to be able to have that understanding, right? And this is something that you're not the only one that's going through these things as well, but let's figure out and facilitate ways we're able to gain that support. Next segment, we're going to dive into the importance of the early recognition and that support, right? So when you figure out and you're finding things that are impacting your daily living, your functioning, right? How you feel about yourself, your mood, things is just not adding up, right? We need to be able to seek that support and recognize that these things, and potentially, if possible, in the early stages are possible before things are just in a different kind of, stance. Right, so we have timely evaluation, right? So identifying underlying, causes that allows, for appropriate treatment and that management, right? So we got to be able to, like I said, early stage, when we recognize things early on, we're able to jump on them a little bit more proactively and quicker with that proactive, that support. We also have emotional well-being, right? So early support reduces that stress and that, emotional distress related to the memory concerns, right? So helps us out when we're seeking that support, as mentioned. We also got to take in consideration that maintaining that independence, right? So coping strategies, life is going to have its own way of giving us our individual problems on top of our own individual problems, right? So problems are problems, right? So coping strategies are going to be able to help you as an individual, function confidently in your daily life, right? So by getting these skills, talking to these professionals, figuring out what works, what strengths are. For instance, they also use that analogy, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So if you're figuring out things that already been working for you, that's been working, let's continue using those skills and those strengths. Next is going to be that prevention progression, right? So addressing contributors in regards to those factors may, slow, further cognitive decline, right? So prevent progression if possible, to prevent things getting worse if possible, by seeking that early support and recognizing these things earlier. It's really important for us to be more intuitive within ourselves, what we feel. That's why I always advocate for the journaling if possible, writing these things down, tracking them, write a date, write a time, so you're able to kind of have a tracking of your emotions, your feelings, and even things and insights that you're seeing, right? No one knows you more than yourself, and by being more intuitive, by being more intentional, and by being more, accountable, by writing these things down, could potentially help you out and recognize these things for that support within yourself. And even so, you're able to look back on it, track it, and be like, yo, I'm not tweaking, I'm not bugging out. Like, this is something that's really been bothering me, and I actually have tangible evidence to really kind of, seek the support and show tangible evidence as well, if that's something that you would want to do. The next segment, let's dive into coping, strategies for managing that short-term memory loss, right? So what can we do, right? Off rip, we're going to be talking about that established routines, right? So consistent daily habits reduce cognitive load and improve recall, right? So making things more manageable for yourself. Having a routine which gives you that consistent lifestyle in that sense, right? So you're not really kind of puzzled, you're not really overwhelmed. What's coming next? What is coming, what's on its way. Establishing that routine is going to be able to help you. We also have used memory aids, right? So calendars, reminders, notes, digital tools to be able to help you support. We have phones, we have notes on our phone. We have, like I said, the journal right here. We also have agenda books, right? So some of the schools are able to provide some of these things for the students aspect in that sense, but utilize these things, right? Things on the calendar, right? You can get the big calendar, so you can get the small ones, like I said, the agenda book style, right? So figuring out what works for you, utilize it if possible, and keeping you accountable too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna be extra, but get yourself a pencil and a paper, and really pencil, paper, a pen or pencil, or a pen or pencil, whatever, and really write these things down. And when you're doing them, you're gonna realize it's helping the brain, rewire itself in that sense, right? By that application. We also have reduced stress, right? So this is another coping skill. So relaxation techniques and mindfulness improve attention and memory, right? So figuring out a way to get yourself in a neutral state where you feel safe, you feel relaxed, you feel calm. This is going to help your body, right? Your mind as well feel at ease for, that memory recollection. We also want to take in consideration as well is stay mentally active, right? So reading, puzzles, and learning new skills is going to really be able to help your cognitive health and that, support that functioning as well, right? So keeping yourself going, keeping yourself interactive, right? Not really being too much into the isolation, not shutting down, not burning out, right? Get yourself the adequate rest, but do things that make you feel happy, that give you that pleasure, that joy, and keeping your mind alive is going to be really good for the brain. Next is going to be, healthy lifestyle habits, right? So we got to look at ourselves, look at the things, the do's and the don'ts, realize, what's right, what's wrong, right? Realize, the healthy lifestyle, what's going to help us implement things to be able to improve our ways, right? Like I said, we're not meant to be perfect, but we're meant to improve. So we really got to be intentional, like I said, about what's going on, right? So if we're not getting adequate sleep, let's get to adequate sleep. We ain't eating right, let's make sure we're figuring out ways we're able to add more nutrition in our bodies, giving ourselves the things that we need, right? For me, I like cinnamon rolls, you feel me? But should I be having that every day, or should I be taking consideration the vegetables and the fruits, right? Yeah, the vegetables and the fruits, right? So we know what we need to do. Also, too, that physical activities, right? To be able to support our brain functioning, right? So the exercise. We got to be able to do these things, right? So try your best to implement things to improve your lifestyle, in addition to helping your memory as well. Next segment, let's dive into finding that support and helping others, right? So sometimes it ain't about us, right? It's about also other people as well, and figuring out ways we're able to, figure out the balance we're able to implement in that sense, right? So open communication, right? So sharing our concerns with family, friends, right? Providers, to be able to reduce that isolation. This is going to be able to also help us break down the stigma as well, right? Stop going into isolation. Let's be more vulnerable. Let's be more open. Let's heal, all right? Let's talk about these things. Let's talk about these concerns so other people are also able to be enlightened. Also, too, it motivates them, encourages them to also, too, break open free, talk about what's going on, too, so we're able to figure out solutions, support ourselves in addition to other people as well, right? So let's have open communication. Next is going to be that professional guidance, right? So there's people that are paid to do what they do, and they do it well, right? So find healthcare providers that are able to assess your memory changes, how you feel, and recommend some interventions for better health and that mental health clarity, right, for yourself, right? Emotional support as well, right? So we have counselors, mental health counselors, right? We have therapists out there, right, that are going to be able to help you, support you through your situation. Also, two support groups to help individuals cope. And like I said, as a unit, you guys are able to talk about these different things that you guys are, concerns, or you guys that are interfering with your daily living within your memory, et cetera, in those group sessions, we're able to really have proactive peer support as well. So you may be experiencing something too, but someone else behind you could connect with you, and you guys are talking about these things in that group. So have that emotional support. Stop suppressing it, right? But let's really try to be vulnerable, confront it, and really embrace it, and talk about these things, individual with the professional, or in a group session, so you're able to have the adequate peer support, right? So closed mouths don't get fed, and I'm really trying to have you advocate for yourself, because this is what's going to help you improve your mental health. Next, we're going to be talking about that caregiver involvement, right? So we have supportive, we have the patient assistant promotes that dignity and that confidence as well from the CDC. So we got to take it in consideration that there are people out there that are supportive, that's going to help us get where we need to be. But once again, we need to be able to advocate for ourselves. Closed mouths, people don't know what's going on with you. People don't know what's going on with your mind, right? People can peep your behavior and your mood, etc., but you know what's going on, right? So if you need help, please seek that proactive support, right? So coming to a close in regards to adapting with confidence, right? So memory changes can be something that is challenging, right? It's difficult, right? We're just, what's going on? Things weren't like this a couple years back, et cetera, but with understanding, with that support, as mentioned, and proactive strategies, to be able to help us cope as individuals, we're able to contribute to meaningful lives with connective lives as well, right? So we're able to still interact and still do the things that we love, and be vibrant, right, with that positive mindset. But however, let's tie some research into this as well. But early in regards to that recognition, right, emotional support and adaptive strategies improve quality of life and reduce the stress associated with memory loss. So, with the compassionate support from our families, healthcare providers, like I said, them therapists out there helping us out with our emotions and figuring out proactive treatments and interventions, and communities play a vital role as well. Like I said, it's not just us going through this, but other people as well as going through this, by us having proactive conversations to help our mental health. We all, can improve, right? So if you found this video was beneficial, give it a thumbs up, share if possible, and I'll see you on the next one. Stay blessed.